Smash Factor.
Ripping driver, going for it. Oh my goodness. How about that tee shot?
That is crazy how far that is.
Wow. John Daly, take a back seat, big fella. How about that drive?
That's an aggressive line. That is beyond long.
Look at this, he's just driven the green. He has just driven the green.
I guess hello world, huh?
Welcome everybody to week 20 of the 2020-2021 PGA season, the WGC Workday at the Concessions. A little bit of a longer name than usual, formerly known as the WGC Mexico. And before that, this was over in Florida before, but it was at Doral as the WGC Cadillac Championship. So a few names there. There's even more names before that, but that's as far as I went back on the history. With any WGC, small field, strong field, more of the chess, not checkers, I guess I would say this week. You know, I mean, they're all great. They're going to have so many fall two spots. We'll get there. Sticker shock in a sense as far as guys that are cheaper than what they have been because the field's so strong. And just more about your construction and how you go about a no-cut event. You got probably 10, 15 guys that most will not even think about playing, at least 8 to 10. Not that they're worthy of playing per se, but those are some of the, so it really makes what is a 60, I think I got 69 guys in the DraftKings pricing right now. Potentially only, right out the gate, 60 probably that I would even look at. I mean, there's some I just probably won't play at all. Maybe if you're building a ton of lineups, you go ahead and throw some sprinkles in there because you never know what will happen. But I typically have done well in no-cut events or limited field events. I kind of consider the Masters a limited field just because similar deal. You only get some years, I don't remember what we had last year, but, a lot smaller field than typical, even if there's 100 players, which I'm not sure, and there's so many you can eliminate because of the past champions are like 30 years, like 70 years old, 60 years old, stuff like that you really don't get into. It more becomes what contest selection and how you construct around that is kind of the, let's play chess, not checkers type of mentality. Hopefully we can continue that this week and do well. A lot of storylines going into it coming off of last week. We'll recap last week and we'll get right into this. Not a lot of guys to talk about this week, so definitely probably a quicker pod and much more about let's get to Wednesday and kind of see where everything's landing type of deal before we make too many hard I'm playing all in or fading all that. And to couple all that, it's a course that the PGA has never seen, never played, at least in modern time. I think, there was an event back in 69, which actually, no, that wasn't even here. So I know in 2015, the NCAA championships, which we'll hear a lot about that. Bryson won it. CT Pan was there, played well. And some other guys in that field that were here. But outside of that, no pro event really has been played here. So it kind of makes it unique. But I will say there was spent a lot of time last night and then even this morning, albeit my hard drive did not get recovered. So I had to send it off to a level 2, level 3 data center that could take up to 2 to 4 weeks to get it back. So I'm having to rebuild a lot of things right now just to get by to see if they can get all my data off that deal. But outside of doing that, getting things prepped for this week, I did flyovers, I did hole by hole. I read every article I could find, interview. Paul Azinger is a member there, plays a lot, had a lot to say. Read a good article about him. Several different things he said, among others. So I think we got a lot of decent information about it. How it truly will play, who knows? But I'm going to use the stuff I have. I'll continue to listen to pressers. I think that's important on a week like this. Hear what the guys are saying. What do they think is important? So on and so forth, which why it makes what we do between now and Wednesday afternoon that much more important on this week because we're scratching and clawing for every bit of information that we can get. Let's wrap up last week real quick, then we'll move on. DFS not great for me at all. Worst percentage down on a main slate, 70% of my weekly loss, only got 30% back. +1 cut hurt me. I know it probably hurt a lot of people, so I'm not going to bellyache about it, but definitely had some key guys right there that if +1 had got in, I think much better week for me I would have had, especially with Brooks making a little bit of a charge. Not charge. He did okay Sunday. He was in my main lineup that had a 5 of 6 in. That if that goes 6 of 6, I think I would at least min cash several places. If the +1, having Luke List right there. Had a good lineup with List and Austin Cook, I think. Both missed it at +1. Both crumbled in the last 3 holes to fall to +1. So a little bit of, I guess when, last night I was reviewing everything, I was pretty frustrated with the week in general because I felt, I dodged the DeChambeau. I dodged a lot of guys that just, didn't perform to their price and had a lot of good calls, but the combinations didn't work out, and you go look and you're like, all right, where'd I mess up? Where'd I mess up my process? And some weeks I get to that point where I'm just like, man, I just had a horrible process this week. I didn't think that was it this week. I just didn't, other than, I was heavy on DJ Brooks. DJ finished 8th, fell on Sunday, didn't really do much on Sunday. Just played, pretty much. It was probably, I don't want to say he didn't seem motivated. It just didn't seem like he had his game. Brooks charged there for a little while. I don't know what he actually finished. Let's see what he finished. 38th, which, it's not good enough for his price or anything like that. But my other top dollar plays were Rory and JT, and both missed a cut. So I'm like, that's on me. You go Rahm. I did have Cantley. I had Finau, but if I go Rahm, Xander even, who finishes 15th, that's a little bit of a better week than JT Rory type of deal. So there's still some things that, you got to improve on. Had Burns and plenty of lineups, had some nice lineups going into Sunday. I was almost double the field on 6 of 6. So that's really what makes it frustrating, because you're like, nothing went right at that critical moment of them finishing up Sunday morning, and then starting. I mean, every guy that I had that I needed, like, finished horribly those last 6-7 holes that were on the course Sunday morning for round 3. It just kind of took the momentum out. I did have a really good lineup where Willie Z and Cam Davis started strong on round 4 that kind of shot up there in the 55. I thought, all right, my big guys were still going off. Good 6 of 6. Let's just keep it rolling. And then, it just, anybody that I had a chance with, it just seemed to fall down. And then Burns wind up, dropping, which hurt. And DJ and Burns were in a couple lineups together that both of them just didn't have a very good Sunday. And it really kind of, took me from potentially a 2X week, which I would have took in that consideration, to, you lose, and I bubbled a lot on my main lineup that was in everything was a 5 of 6, and I had Redmond missing the cut. That was probably the one thing that I was mad at myself about, because it wasn't necessarily that it was Redmond, because, I do like him, but like everything that I kept doing told me to play Wesley Bryan. And I played him in all my MME stuff. I just didn't trust myself to get there in a 3-max type build. And he wound up doing just perfectly fine for the dollar amount. He was money. So now if I play him, I obviously move up off someone. I don't know who that would have been. So it's, it's one of those if buts, Kenny and us, we all have a Merry Christmas type of deal. But, I have to trust those things sometimes. They don't look right. They feel funny. It's hard to click a button on a Wesley Bryan type and that strong of a feel. But sometimes when it's put in that way, you got to trust it a little bit. All in all, it is what it is. I'll learn from it. It was a good tournament. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Sunday a lot, even though didn't have a lot. I mean, by the time we got to the back 9, I had some showdown stuff that was kind of had some chances, but that was it. My main slate, I was like bubbling on a potential break even type deal. And then when DJ just kind of just imploded and looked like he was not going to even, zoom up to the top 3 or even win it, I kind of knew that was going to be it, because I was real heavy on DJ. And Brooks kind of I think he kind of faltered that back 9 a little bit after a hot start, because he got up to I want to say he got up to -4 at one point, which would have been nice. But, is what it is. Betting-wise, full tourney matchups went 2-1, including a 2-star Brooks over DeChambeau. That's an easy winner with DeChambeau missing the cut. No outright or first-round leader this week. So that little hot, that kind of melted a little bit this week. That's all right. You're not going to hit an outright in the first-round leader every week. and really not much sweat there, by the end of Sunday. So first time in a while that I didn't have somebody that I really thought was in it. And that's just going to happen sometimes. I didn't have much Homa at all. I just didn't play him. Hindsight, probably should have. He was a little more chalky than I wanted, even with some of the narratives going into it. Obviously, I didn't think he was going to win by any means, but I think he was playable. He was definitely in that next to last pool for me. Just didn't get there. Felt like I could get some leverage elsewhere. Did have Finau and Burns, like I mentioned. So I had some right plays. Probably my biggest, Rory and JT both missing. Which Rory had the lead. Had the consecutive cut streak the most at that point before missing his cut. I had some Cantley. Bubba was another one that I was surprised at his ownership. I felt it was going to come in that low, so I went ahead and went on him. He missed again, so that he's kind of had that roller coaster at that place. He's, like I mentioned, Wednesday and Monday in the pot, I think, now I think he's the last 6 years he's got like a first, another 20th or 30th, and 3 missed cuts. So kind of a roller coaster deal with him, but is what it is. I'm ready. I'm excited for this week. A little bit different change up. We go to the East Coast. We go to Bermuda is the dominant green grass down there. Florida swing. We're getting close. This kind of feels like you're starting your march to the Masters, no pun intended for our promo that you'll hear right here in just a second. But I feel like a great tournament last week to finish out the West Coast, and now we roll into the WGC. You got some solid tournaments in Florida, API, the Players, Hondo, one of our favorites who I've been to the last 4 or 5 years, all that kind of stuff rolling in. Then we get the match play in Austin, rolling into the Masters. So it kind of feels like springtime, which after the last 2 weeks here in the South, Texas, Oklahoma, and other surrounding states have been hammered with historic 100-year-plus winter storms. Springtime and being able to play some golf and watch golf is going to be welcome down here. As I mentioned just now, our March to the Masters promo is out there. Use the code MASTERS for 30% off any package. This is the only time of the year we do this. You can use the code SMASH20 for 20% off any gear in the GC store right now. Very limited supplies on all that except for the combo pack, which is our kind of standard that's in there. We have plenty of those just because I do those as giveaways, and that's our standard shirt and hat. But you can go buy those as well. Everything else is very limited. So if you're wanting some of that, I'd go get it because we're almost out of it. And then I'm going to start up in the inventory once we kind of – I have that all in the back of my mind. I've just been focusing on getting the new website out. Working all that, which I'll have more on that here in a second. So the March to the Masters promo, if you missed it, you can go check out at Gups Corner on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. We'll have it's on the timeline. I'll have it pinned on the Gups Corner one if it's not already. I think I did. So any new signups between February 1st through Sunday at Augusta, you get entered. Any current sub that's upgraded since January 1st, you also get entered. There's going to be 3 winners. The first winner will have a choice between the new Titleist TSI driver. You'll be able to custom make that however you want, meaning what degree you want it, what kind of do you need a strong shaft, weak shaft, stuff like that. If you want to do an upgradable shaft, we can probably do that. You just have to pay the difference there, but the full retail value on we're getting is almost $600, so be pretty nice driver there for you guys. Or you can pick the custom made Vokey wedges, SM8 wedges, brand new wedges. You'll see that on the promo deal, the Gups Corner. You don't have to pick Gups Corner by any means. You'll be able to get with our guy Steve that can get all this made from us, and you'll be able to custom make these exactly how you want them, which is over a $500 retail value as well to do the full custom job. The wedges themselves, I think, are $399 for the 3 wedges retail value, but the upgrade for the custom artwork that you can put whatever you want on there, is added money, but that's covered. So if you want the wedges, you can do that, or the GC gift pack that includes items from the Masters. I gave some examples in the photo on the promo. We'll pick. Depending on which items you want, that'll be well over $300-400 value as well. So the first winner will get to pick his choice. Second winner, or her choice. Second winner will get to pick the remaining 2 items, and then the third winner will get whatever's left over. So your choice there. Maybe you just got a brand new driver and you want the wedges, or maybe you're not. You don't care about custom wedges. All that. It's up to you. So we're not going to say, hey, you have to pick this prize to start with. Really good deal. Well over $1,500 of value, close to $2,000 in total between everything we'll be giving away, not only in that promo, but leading up to. I will be doing almost weekly different drops and different deals on giving away free merchandise, free DFS money. I've already done a few in the last few weeks. The way you'll get into those is basically two things. Rate and review us on iTunes. If you can't remember if you have or haven't, go do it again. They let you do it again, and I'll see it no matter what, and I'll cross-reference it. So get that done. Like this video on YouTube. Even if you're not watching it right now on YouTube, the audio version normally comes out first, and the YouTube comes out within like 45 minutes or so. Go like the video and then leave a comment, because when you guys do that, I put that into my database as well. This week's comment, tell me who you'll jump back on first. Who you easily jump back on out of these three: Bryson, Rory, or JT, the three big guys, dollar amount last week that missed the cut. Leave it in the comment for me, and that'll get you into any drawings that we do between now and the Masters, and I'll be doing several of them. Really, that's just it. Two things. Subscribe on YouTube, like the video, leave that comment, and then rate and review us on iTunes. You can do all that in about 3 minutes, and you get into the drawings. Several winners already through those different drawings. Be sure you're following us on YouTube. I mean, on Twitter, because that's where I do them at. Listener League winner last week, WS23 Bo. Great week for him, 514.5 points. I was in the $200 single, so I saw him also get third in that for $15K. So a huge week for him overall. Congrats to him. He had Shoffley, Cantley, Hovland, Homa, Burns, and Wesley Bryan. So he did have the nuts to go down to Bryan that I didn't. So congrats to him. I don't know if he picked him because of Gup's Corner or not, but I can't imagine too many people was talking about Bryan. So I'll take credit for it. Not really, man. You pulled it. I didn't do it. I thought about it in the 200, and I had a 5 or 6 in it, and mine was I missed with Redmond. Hovland was another one that, hindsight, I wish, just kind of revisiting everything last night, I should have took some more chances on than I did. I did not have Homa, though, so I wouldn't have got there. I didn't have X. So, I mean, it was a great lineup, great build. You made a lot of money. I could just by winning third in the 200, you won 1,000 off of ours. Plus, I'm sure you had some other leagues as well. So, congrats to you on the big week. And I think you've already accepted the invite to the season-long championship. So, looking forward to that. All right, let's get into the course preview real quick. I'm really looking forward to listening to Kenny and Tambo's pod. This is a Monday afternoon, so I'm actually ahead of schedule this week. I stayed up late last night. I had a lot on my mind with the new website coming out, this business, this venture, this industry, all industries, where this is going, where we're going. Very excited. There's a nervousness about it as well. Anytime you kind of launch your own deal, believing in yourself. And frankly, I felt like I had a bad week, and that always bothers me when I do it. I don't really care about the wins and losses, money and all that wise. It's just more about, did I provide the best for the community? And I believe I did, but I still second guess it because I was so distracted last week with my hard drive crashing, the winter storm that knocked out, basically all of Oklahoma and Texas for different parts of the week with water, power, all that stuff. And not that I ever let that be an excuse. It's more of, I got to make sure I'm doing what I can do to give you guys the best information. I believe I did. But it always keeps me up on Sunday when I'm reviewing everything, making sure I did everything right. We're also binge watching Yellowstone. It's a great show. So we're almost done with season 3 now. So I was doing that as I was getting everything ready, and then having to rebuild a whole bunch of my databases and stuff that I'm kind of band-aiding up until hopefully I get this drive back in the next few weeks. Kind of kept me up late, but it was a good deal. It went bad. I always like that. But it got me ahead of everything, actually. So when I'm always get that nervous tick, I guess, of when you have that comfort zone of all your stuff built and everything ready, you just go plug and play and pull things in. Well, not having all that, I wanted to make sure I was ahead. So really ahead this week, back to trying to get this pod out on Monday afternoons, Monday evenings. That's kind of always my goal. Just the last several weeks, been a little behind with focusing a lot of my Mondays on the website. The website is launching Sunday night. So there'll probably be a down period there. Within an hour or two of the tournament ending, the WGC Sunday, we will start the migration over to the new website. So if you happen to jump on there or something's not clicking, just be patient with us that night. Our goal is by time Monday morning rolls around, everybody's ready to crank up and get ready for next week. When you go, you won't have to do anything different. You'll probably have to sign in or whatnot, but we're making it as seamless as possible with your account and your information. You'll have to click some stuff and sign back in, but it should be as smooth as it was before. You're just going to have instant access to the new website. I've been dropping some screenshots in there. I'm looking forward to you guys seeing it. And not only right out the gate, I think out the gate's going to be cool because it's going to have a lot of stuff that we want to implement and get going, but from then through the Masters, the amount of stuff we're going to be able to add once we have this live environment, no longer in the beta, will be really awesome over the next 4 to 6 weeks, and I'm looking forward to it. All right, so I'm interested to see how Kenny approaches the course. He's very knowledgeable, and he does a great job researching it. I basically last night and today just did all my notes that I can. So here's what I got from it. It's in Bradenton, Florida, which is about an hour away from Tampa. Par 72, about 7,500 yards. Greens similar to Augusta. I saw that in like 3 different places. So quick, can be really fast. Need to know where to miss in the right spots, which will, a lot of these guys I assume probably hadn't played this a whole lot. A lot of the golfers in Florida live in that Jupiter area, so around the Honda and all that kind of stuff. And there's, the Grove. There's a lot of great courses over there. Tampa is not close to that, so I don't think there's a ton of like PGA pros that have been playing all this like they would if this was a course that was closer to Jupiter. But Azinger had several different things I read. He said the wind is the biggest threat, although there is some hard. It's a hard course, and when I see that over and over, it was more about for the common player. So like a guy like me, or I'm a 9-10 handicap. Very difficult for that day in and day out. Pros can play it, but he said the wind makes a lot of difference out here. And he felt that in no wind, you can see 16 to 19 under. If you get some good wind, decent wind throughout, he could see 8 to 9 under winning it. So a pretty good swing there. Similar to Honda when I hear that, because when the wind's blowing at Honda, it's a beast. Honda's harder anyways in general. I don't think we'd ever get like a 17, 18 under there, but when it does blow, it definitely plays a lot harder than it not blowing. Right now, the wind doesn't look like an issue at all. So I'm leaning more towards 15 to 18 type number, 16 to 19 type number, winning it. I do think maybe a little harder to start with, since a lot of these guys maybe have not seen it a whole lot, don't know all the tricks and niches to the course. It does sound like having the distance off the tee will help you in spots, but knowing where to land your ball and position yourself also matters. There are some holes that having that extra 20 or 30 yards he mentioned in several, a couple articles will, really, really help you against the field. If you're hitting at 285 versus 315 is a big deal on some shots, not all of them. So interesting to kind of see how that plays out. Doing the flyover of every single hole, there was 12 or 13 there's a couple that I questioned whether the water was actually coming into play. I saw a couple other articles, and it seemed to be that 12, 13 number of where water comes into play. Honda has some water into play, things like that. Quick greens, as I mentioned, can get up to a 14. Some of the notes on the PGA deal, they thought 12 to 13 would be the number this week around there, which is still super fast on the greens. A lot of bunkers protecting these greens when you look at the flyovers, so being able to get up and down. It looks like, and just sounding like the Augusta narrative, not only the quick greens and all that, but a good around the green game, if you miss in the wrong spot, seems to be could be important. So I did bring that into my model this week. No houses on the course, a lot of trees, tree line fairways. There is some open areas, but then there's like big water there. Kind of makes me a little nervous about Palmer. I know he's gone to the water before, but there's some other guys. But Palmer is a way different golfer than what he used to be, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much, because he's also played Honda really good. Fairways are TIFF Sport Bermuda greens, and then the greens are, the fairways are TIFF Sport Bermuda, and the greens are TIFF Eagle. Just a slight difference there, and if you're in the South, you kind of know the difference there. TIFF Eagle is one of the best Bermuda greens there are. I personally like bent grass greens because that's what I learned to play the game on, but if I'm not on bent grass, I do like TIFF Eagle greens. They're pretty pure. They run a lot more pure than other Bermuda, but they still have the grain into them, so that there is that factor into it. I'll be looking at Bermuda Specialist when I'm analyzing that part of it, for sure. But, there's a slight difference there in some of those types of Bermuda grasses. Again, always go check out our boy Kenny Kim, read his article on the website and his update. I'll be interested to see what nuggets he has for us as well. Like I mentioned, the weather looks beautiful this week. I mean, just picture perfect week in the 80s at time, going to be really warm, not some of these cold mornings like they've had on the West Coast. I don't see the wind getting an issue at all. Maybe a little bit on the weekend, but nothing crazy. There's no cut. The WGC event is a no cut event. And I'm going to put the win and score. Everything I'm kind of basing my numbers on is going to be around that 16 to 18 under number, unless we hear some, through the pressers and everything that people think, this place is going to play really hard or something like that. One thing that Azinger kept saying in the 3 different articles I had him quoted in was that he thinks the talent level, or you can have some guys really shoot that 14 to 15, 16 under number, and at the same time, guys that just don't have that next level really struggle out here and maybe be plus 2 or 3 or 4 over par by the end of the tournaments. No cut events are going to play a lot. So I think instead of it being bunched up a lot, we had a lot of bunched up guys last week. You may have a big spread there where you got all these guys that are playing it well. It fits their eye, whatever. They're on a heater putting. And you could have some guys that really struggle. So us deciphering that as we get closer to Wednesday, I think will be key. Past winners here doesn't matter per se. Only the reason why I kind of look at them at all is just to see, who typically in these strong field events seems to show up, play well. Like I mentioned, it was at Chapultepec before this, and then Doral before Mexico. So courses are not really like this at all. So I'm not putting anything into that. When I did my course fit, I pulled courses that reminded me of Jack, obviously Jack courses. This is a Jack Nicklaus design. And then all these descriptions, a little bit of Honda, a little bit of maybe Sherwood, a little bit of, any of those type of Jack courses that can fit this and fit the environment that it's in, a lot of water, stuff like that. I pulled, I think, 4 to 6 different ones just to kind of get a blend, and not looking at a course fit as strong this week because we just don't really know how it's going to play. So most of my information is going to be on stats and recent form. But past winners of the WGC, this event, Reed, DJ, Mickelson, DJ, Scott, DJ, Reed. So Reed and DJ's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them since 2014. Runner-ups, Bryson, Rory, JT, Bubba. So Bubba really liked Doral. I don't know how close Doral in this would be, but it could be a comp. DJ was a runner-up in 11. So, cream rises to the top for the most part, but, that's not going to be as hard of the decision. I think it's a 2 thing is, how do people feel comfortable with anybody down low enough where they can go a little bit up, or do they want to try to be balanced and just hope, like a Cantley, who I think is grossly underpriced this week, maybe goes off. Go back to Bryson. He won here in 2015. Berger, 9,300. There's so much good talent there that a balanced build could pay off for sure. But I would never sleep on DJ. We all know that. So that'll make things interesting for sure. Key stats for me, I'm kind of looking at the overall picture of the player per se. I'm looking at great drives. I'm looking at ball striking around the green, great approaches, opportunities inside 12 feet, and then birdie or better. I'm playing it like he said with no wind. He could see 16, 17, 18, 19 under even win it. So I do want to see guys that can score. And I like birdie or better in general on a WGC because it's a no-cut event. They're going to have 4 rounds. Who's guys that can get Cam Champ as a guy that comes to mind, can get some eagles and birdies, even though he may have 5 bogeys in a round. That stuff matters in this. Guys that can outperform their finishing position in the tournament with scoring in a WGC as always has a prime for me. This week we got 6 in the 10K, 9 in the 9K, 10 in the 8K, 16 in the 7K, and 28 in the 6K. Sweet 16, I felt like I'm going through the whole field when I did this. I almost shortened it, but I was like, you know what? So much is going to happen between now and Wednesday. Always, and no better time to be a premium member right now with everything we're rolling out with the new site. Community couldn't be any stronger than what it is right now. Really excited for what we got going, but ownership's going to play probably a point in this week, but I think my initial gut reaction is the way the pricing is and the way the players are. I don't see a lot of people being just super high owned or chalky. I think it's really going to get spread out because there's so many good options down there. There will be some pockets of guys that just between the way the builds are going or the things are being talked up that get overlooked, and that's maybe where we can take some leverage at. But in general, I think you're just going to be able to build, and it's just going to come down to making some tough decisions. Like, unless you're playing 150 lineups, it's hard to get all the guys up there. I mean, my initial salary ranks, all 6 of the 10K guys are inside my top 10 model ranks, probably as it should be. So all these guys are good, and you're really splitting hairs on this kind of stuff. So we really got to get into that. How can I build and construct and pick the right contest over? I think that's just as important or more important this week than the actual guys. I mean, yeah, DJ's great. I mean, Shoffley, Rom, these guys are tremendous, but picking who's going to do well this week, you're really splitting hairs. Then we got the JT, Rory, Bryson all missed the cut. Bryson probably get talked up a little bit with hadn't won here in 2015. Different Bryson back there for sure. So does his mentality here work? I don't know. I didn't play him last week because I feel when he has to rely on that very short game around the green game, that's where he can struggle. And he did a little bit last week. And if that's how this is, if he's not hitting greens, go back to Augusta, Masters, barely made the cut, basically finished whatever he finished out of there on Sunday. That distance doesn't matter here. And this, while distance does matter, it seems it's not like with all the water and some trouble that, and again, this is just Monday reaction. I don't know if that fits his game where he's at right now, but I'm not ruling him out. If everybody wants to get off of him, I'll take a super low on Bryson this week after the missed cut. Same with JT and Rory. I will say, I don't know what was going on with JT. He just kind of looked lost out of it. Rory's approach game seemed to struggle. Could make an argument just keep fading both of them. Maybe their games are off right now. So a lot of that meta game this week that'll be important as we get to Wednesday. But for me, 9K and above, we start the Sweet 16. I'm gonna play DJ. I hope he goes a little bit low owned because of his price. People trying to play more balanced. It's not real comfortable down the 6K. Few guys who I think will be chalky down there. We'll get to that a little bit later, but. I think a lot of guys are going to want to be around that as balanced as they can be, but I think you could build a pretty balanced lineup with DJ in it. There's some good options there. You got to take a little bit of risk, but I think DJ is obviously still the best player in the world. What looked like a very off week, he fell to a horrific 8th place finish last week. So just a little off, even off the tee a little bit. You saw him, late in his round and then even early in the round 4 round seemed to be pulling it a little left. That's stuff that dude can get fixed, real quick in a hurry. And anytime I hear what I've heard so far about this course, I like a player like DJ. I really like his around the green game. Putting, he's decent on. He's good on most any kind of surface, but it's not one of his worst by any means. I'll go back to him, and I hope he kind of gets overlooked a little bit. A la 2 years ago, WG Mexico, he was not, everybody kind of moved off of him, and that was the most I ever went on one player ever, and it did well. I'm not saying that happens this week, but I'm going to take a DJ where I get him for 4 rounds versus anybody, just a matter of how heavy I want to go on him or not. Nexus Cantley, I mentioned it earlier, 10K. I think he's underpriced. I got him 5th in my GPR ranks, the power rankings that I update every Monday. He's 4th in this. With the price, though, I just feel like, 10,000 probably isn't the horrible part. I'm just like, all right. I'm like, who's been playing better right now? Cantley, JT, Rory. To me, it's Cantley. I understand the Rom, Shoffley. I think those guys are playing tremendous as well. I'd probably put, where I got him, 4th. I think you split hairs between maybe him and Shoffley. I think DJ and Rom right now are playing the 2 best out of everybody. Just a matter of how chalky Rom gets. But outside of that, I think Cantley could arguably be, top 5, Finau, 3 straight seconds right there. I don't know. I'll take those guys. I'll take him at less price. I like Cantley this week a lot. My third option it's Brooks. I like how he finished Sunday, or at least came back a little bit. I still think at 9,500, he probably, last week he was 7%, so I'm going to take that every week. I do like Hatton, and I'm wondering Hatton's been playing well. He hasn't been over here in a little while. His game tends to fit a lot of courses. So not knowing exactly how this plays, I do feel the reason why I went Brooks is because I think Hatton may get higher talked up, higher owned right there, and I'm using Brooks as a pivot. I'm banking that in. But if Hatton doesn't really get talked about either a whole lot, Finau's right there. Bryson's there, who I think may get. Berger's cheaper than both of them. I'm surely he'll get talked up. So, Hatton's another one to keep in mind, but I'm going to go Brooks, and then my bubble boy is Rahm. And really it's just ownership. If he's going to be the number one owned, which potentially I think he could be, I have to make a tough decision there. And I may just go DJ, Rahm, and then that's it. And then drop down below 10K, maybe right at 10K, pull in Cantley, and then go look for some 9K guys. This week is kind of where I'm leaning right now. 8K range, I'll go back to Neiman. I mean, at one point, it looked like he could run right up there. I think he was 7 under, and he did not finish well on his last 7 holes or so of round 3 with that wind and all that. I mean, I think he made like 7 and 8 bogeys out of 9 holes, 10 holes, something like that. He finished 43rd overall. It looked like once he got lost and out of it, he just couldn't find it. He still had some good shots at times, but he was struggling off the tee. He was looking great through 2.5 rounds. So I don't hate that. 8,100 feels really, really good price for his, for what he is and his upside. So I like Neiman this week. Scheffler, same way. Came back with a great Sunday. Played him in some showdown. Wish I would have went even heavier. Finished 20th. Get him back on some Bermuda. A 7th at the Waste Management as well. I think he may be back on that uptick. He kind of went down for a little while. He's 8,300, so I like that. I'm that price for him, especially if I'm trying to do a hybrid balance type build with some DJ and stuff like that. I like some Scheffler at 8,300. I'll go back to Willie Z. He seems to kind of like disappear, and then all of a sudden you look up and he's top 15 again. Like he's almost Matsu-ish, but he's 8K. And Matsu definitely hasn't been doing that lately. But it seems like his last 4, a 7th, a 17th, a 55th is his worst, and then a 15th. And didn't really feel like you felt him at all last week. I did play him in Showdown Sunday because he has that ability to eagle, go on birdie streak, score, even though he may drop a bogey or two in there. And 8K to me still feels like a really good price. I really love that range right there with Neiman, Scheffler, Willie Z. I could see that being a good core for me this week and let me build around that. And last, Bubble Boy. Only reason is I just want to make sure there's nothing about him missing the last 2 weeks, and that's Sung Jae. Like, I'll take Sung Jae at 8,800. Sung Jae can win here. Sung Jae won at the Honda. That's a course I'm looking at this week. 15th in Bermuda putting for me. He just doesn't never take 2 weeks off. So I'm like, did he just say, F it, I want to go just play some Florida swing, so I'm going to relax, and I'm grinding on Florida all the way to the Masters? I don't know. I just want to make sure there was nothing to it. I didn't heard a thing on it, but that's the only reason why he's on the Bubble Boy was I was surprised he took back-to-back weeks off, which is like literally the first time I've seen him do that, in a year and a half at least. So he'll be in my pool for sure unless I hear something that caused him to do that. 7K, I'm going to start back with Garcia. Miscut last week. He was one I think that burned some people a little bit. Pretty good track record in these WGCs in general. So I like, that. Stat-wise, he's 9th for me. Just an overall good game that I think could fit here. And 7,500 is a really good price for that kind of, I don't want to call it a safety net because I don't want to go safe, but I feel like his game could fit here well. Not have to worry about a miscut. He has been playing well before that, even, elsewhere. His last 5 WGCs, the Mexico ones, he was 11th, 12th, 7th, 6th. So he can step up to these challenges and be right there. I like Garcia at 7,500. I'll go back to Bubba, burn me and some others. But again, $7,300. I mean, we have to get some of these cheap guys down in here. I do. He's one that I would love to be able to hear a presser on to see like he's really. As some contacts on tour, they'll kind of see, is this feel like a Bubba track? Like he feels like he can be creative, or does he feel restricted? Because Bubba could go one of two ways here in a hurry. If he really likes it, could do well. He does do good on Bermuda. He's 6th in my stat model. The miscut probably burns some people. Maybe no one goes back to him, so I like being there at 7,300. Wolf is just this is a guy that at 7,600, I feel like I'm getting value on him. He's a guy that can win. We've seen it. I don't have to worry about the miscut because that is but he has made his last 2 cuts. Although not played well, He did, after struggling, he has made 2 cuts. He's 7th in my stat model. He just doesn't have really good form coming in. But a no-cut event, a guy that can score eagles and birdies in a hurry, even though he has a big blow-up hole or two, I like that, especially at his price. I think he is a guy that can outscore his finishing position for sure this week, but he can also top 10 this, and it wouldn't shock me. And this is anecdotal, but, we always talk about anywhere Bryson seems to do well or rank out well, Wolf seems to be there. I mean, the year we had Wolf and Bryson up there, I think the 3M, and they go 1-2. I had I had tickets on both of them. Wolf won, so that was good. But, again, anecdotal there, but if we're going to think Bryson's skill set and his are similar, that's just something to me. At 7,600, it's just the upside's there for me. I'll be on it. And then Palmer was my bubble boy. We know he can get, in trouble at times, but he also, his game and ball striking is really, really improved. I have him 7th in ball striking here. He does struggle around the greens at times, so that kind of does worry me a little bit, but at 7,200, certainly don't mind taking some shares. We've seen him get stuck in the bunker and hit the water balls, so that seems to be relevant here, but he also has played Honda really well. So he's a bubble boy for me, but I think he'll be my pool at 7,200. 6K range. This is where it'll get interesting this week. We got some Euros that typically I'll do my deep dive in to, and I'll do some manual adjusting with them because we just have very little of some of these no stats on these guys. So you got to go over the Euro site, pull what you can pull, look at the OWGR, some the power rankings. If they're in there for me, I pull some of that stuff in. There'll be some names that people are definitely will be familiar with. Hogarth, Dietrich, I think those two, are more common than the others per se. Lucas Herbert, McIntyre, he's in the 7K, but those Euro guys that some will be familiar with and some we're like, who's this guy? Do we even know what he does? So definitely I deep dive into that. I'll make those adjustments as we get closer to the final rankings on Wednesday. To kick it off for me will be Hogarth. I do think he'll be popular. But my fade of the week is also in this range. And so of a guy I think who will be probably the number 1 owned in this range or close to it. So I don't think it'll be Rasmus. So I'm going to go Hogarth, 6,700. I honestly don't know how much I'm going to dip into the sixes a whole lot. I think I can build pretty effectively on some hybrid balance stuff and just pick a few of these guys and go that route, if depending on how we get to Wednesday. But I like Dietrich. I played him some over in Euro, 6,600, good price, good upside, has some experience in there. So I like him in general. Just a name to keep eye on. My third one is Munoz, 6,500. We know his upside. He hasn't played great lately, but a 43rd last week in a tough field, made the cut, finished okay. He's 6,500. So we take not a 43rd, but because there's only 69 guys, but he can score, get on a little bit of a streak. He's decent on Bermuda. He's about even as his other split. So, nothing great, but 6,500, you're just looking for a guy that can get hot, and we know he can. He's got a great approach game. None of his stats are just stellar right now, but none of them are horrible. He ranks 28th in the field for me overall in stats, but, recent form has really kind of knocked him down right now. But, compared to some of these other guys I may or may not know much about, he's a guy that'll be on my short list. And then Champ, I didn't hear anything about the withdrawal. I don't think it was anything, but at 6,500 in this kind of event, I'll have him as long as there's no injury concern or because he withdrew really late. And so I want to make sure that's on my list to kind of double check, make sure there was nothing on that. He hadn't withdrawn here or anything yet. 12th in my stat model, 22nd overall, 6,500. As I mentioned, can eagle, can birdie with the best of them. The big blow poles won't hurt him as bad here, especially at 6,500. So I really like Champ this week. The fade of the week for me, this is out of all ranges, is Lanto. Simply because I think he's going to be uber chalky in this range. I think he'll get talked up all over the place. Deservingly so. 6,700 is probably too cheap for him. I just don't know if this is a week we have to go chase a chalky 6K guy. Maybe if you get a little if he doesn't get, or everybody starts thinking, oh, he's going to be chalky, so they move off of him, and you just aim for kind of that. I'll be even with the field there, so if he does happen to top 10 this deal, I'm not dead on that. That's something we'll talk about come Wednesday. But right now, I think he'll be the highest owned down here by a good margin, I think he could be top 5 owned in the whole tournament. So if that's how it does get to Wednesday, he'll be my fade of the week this week. My sleeper of the week, and normally I try to go under 5%, but in a WGC event, these guys will be higher owned because there's not that many guys to choose from. So I think he'll probably be around that 6 to 8% range, and it's Carlos Ortiz, 7,300. He is 9th in my putting splits on Bermuda. Okay coming in. Actually pretty good. He missed the cut last week, but he had a 4th at Waste and a 29th at Farmers. Last year at the WGC, he got 16th, which is really good. I know that's no bearing here. 7,300, again, close to 5%. That's the goal normally on a sleeper of the week. You're not going to see a whole lot of that because other than these guys we just aren't too familiar with. But at 7,300, especially who's kind of around him, I think he could go a little under the radar. He'll be owned a little bit, but I think 6 to 8% around there. Around the green, he's 6th for me. Bermuda putting, he's 9th. So if that really comes into play, he can get hot, and do what we see him, obviously 4th at Waste, and he won earlier. So I like Ortiz a lot there at $7,300 for sleeper of the week. Gut feel plays. A little bit different this week because there's just not that many guys. But the 4 that kind of stood out to me in different areas, Cam Smith, played great last week, just couldn't kind of put it all together there. Couldn't make a putt, save his life on Sunday. Finished 4th, really good on better than average on Bermuda. $8,700. He's a guy that I don't mind at all. Jason Day, just because of the price and, talent-wise, if he can put it together, we know his around the green game is big. He got a 7th at Pebble, so pretty good showing there. And $7,800 just feels kind of cheap for him. He's not very high up in my model right now, but I like him. Shane Lowry, a guy we haven't seen recently, but $7,200. Again, we've seen his peak side. I kind of look at these kind of events. I kind of look at that kind of stuff. He's one I have earmarked to kind of see what has he done over in Euro lately, but I like Lowry at 7,200. And then Wiesberger, he's pretty popular sometimes when he comes over here. He's played well at times in the WGC events. Bermuda, he just doesn't have a lot of stats. So he's one that has enough, but I definitely, he's 5th in birdie or better on here. Limited stats for him, but I'll go back and check how's he been playing when he's been playing. He's been playing recently, stuff like that, just to verify all those kind of names. But he's one that, he's 41st in my rankings right now to 69. So nothing great, but at 6,700, maybe he's not talked about a lot. I'll take some chances there. Maybe a pivot off of Lanto as well. Betting top 5 that pop in 2 long shots, as always, provided by Monkey Knife Fight. Use the code GUPS, GUPS, for 100% match up to $50. Last week, because of the crazy weather, the crossover, what was that? Saturday to Sunday, I guess is what it was. It just didn't, like some of the betting matchups weren't up in time because there wasn't much time and all that kind of stuff. But typically I try to provide a play every single night. So if you need help there, the community talks about it as well in the Slack room. You can check that out. But you go to gupscorner.com/affiliates or just use the code GUPS when you check out or when you deposit. 100% match up to $50 for first time depositors only. Top 5 that popped to me. I don't really know where I'm going to go with the betting yet. I'll look at some of the cross-field, alternate field event, the Puerto Rico this week, to see if I want to do some doubles with like a DJ, a Rom, maybe even a Cantley, something like that. Potentially JT or Rory. Most likely, I think I like the DJ, Rom, Cantley. See if I can double up with a winner over there to get their odds juiced up, because I think one of those elites will probably wind up being there on Sunday. But outside of that, I like Scheffler. He's 40 to 50 to 1 in different spots. Brooks, I've seen as high as 28 to 30. Willie Z, 66 to 1. That's one I've already bet. That's your free bet of the week. Go lock it in. I just think talent-wise, he can show up and win. He needs a win, and that's kind of his mentality right now. So at 66 to 1, good number. Cam Smith, I just talked about, 50 to 1. Then Neiman, 40 to 1. Are kind of the ones that stand out without wanting to go below 20 to 1, just an outright right now. Long shots for you. I like Champ, 150 to 1. Probably be a good top 5, top 10 bet as well. And then Ortiz, who I mentioned earlier, 100 to 1 is a good long shot bet for me. One and done, kind of similar to last week. Super, strong field. I just talked about, several times the cream rising into the, top here, and so it's not a bad play. Big money typically in the WGC, so one of the bigger. It's probably the biggest pot to date. So don't be afraid to use DJ Rom. I mean, they're all there. So I think who's not here? Casey is not playing. And then Tiger, I guess, which obviously he was hurt. I think he's still top 50, but DJ, Rom, Cantley, Xander, Rory, Brooks, Bryson, Berger, Morikawa, if you want to go there, Hovland. I mean, there's plenty of options this week that don't, like, I wouldn't get too cute. And one could say, well, look, Homa won last week. You're absolutely right. And if you picked him, kudos to you. But, even having DJ last week for me on one of my three, he still got almost $300,000 as an eighth. So I think, Rom was even better. He backed into a fifth. Finau a second. So yeah, last week if you took Rory or JT, you're kind of like, damn, I took a big guy, plus he missed a cut. Always sucks when that happens, but more times than not, those talent is where you want to be, especially on a week like this. I would probably, if you only have one and done, I'd plan out my potential majors, but I always include the WGCs in that just because of how big the pots are. So when I'm planning out, I'm kind of like, all right, I'm going to use him here, but there's only four, so say there's 6 big pot tournaments that I really want to focus. Well, there's a lot of guys. There's more than 6 elites here this week, so plenty of options. Even drop down to the Sung Jae. He may be lower owned, plus still has potential. So a lot of good options here. Still early, so don't panic. I mean, 2 like a win and a second, a couple wins. I've seen guys hit 3 in a row and be right back into it out of nowhere. So it's way early to press and try anything cute right now. As always, join us Wednesday, 5:30 Eastern for E9. Kenny Kim tries to join me every week that he can, pending his work schedule, especially bigger events like this, WGC. This will be an interesting one if he can join because there's so much unknown. I like to be able to bounce back and forth on Wednesday night and see what he's heard, what I've heard. Have we missed anything? Last week we had some great conversations that moved him on, Kokrak. We wound up saying Ricky was going to be a pretty good play at that ownership. Spieth, pretty good play at that ownership. Brooks, pretty good play at that ownership. So some great conversations that happened there on that E9 for our premium members on Wednesday night. Hopefully he can join me this week. If not, I will have it and go solo. But I'll let you know on that. Don't forget, March to the Masters for 30% off any package. To be eligible for that, you got to buy the annual. You can use the 30% off the monthly, but to get in the drawing, it's for all annual subs. Obviously, we want to reward those that are investing long-term into us. If you have any questions on that, if you're a current sub that wants to upgrade to put you into the drawing, reach out to me, support@gupstournator.com, or DM me on Twitter or Slack if you're in Slack as well. Really looking forward to the week. I think it's going to be another great tournament. You kind of, for us, huge what's coming out on Sunday night. So I'm really looking forward to that. A lot to get done this week. We have a 70-degree weather tomorrow, so it's going to be nice to feel warmer again. All you guys out there still struggling, especially most of Oklahoma, I think power and water's back on. Texas, still some spots. Prayers up to you guys, and hope you guys get all that restored. And anywhere else across the country if you got hit hard. Appreciate you guys. I hope you have a blessed week, and we'll see you Wednesday night. Thank you.